Welcome to History's a Blast. This episode takes us to West Virginia's famous Cass Scenic Railroad State Park, so stick around. Now, the main reason people come here is for the steam-powered train ride up a steep, winding mountain railroad to view the sweeping vista from Balk Knob summit. And we'll do that. But first, we're going to show you the company store and museum, then take a brief drive through the preserved company town. We are coming here on Sunday to the Cass Scenic Railroad State Park, but we're here on Wednesday when everything but the company store is closed and there's just a very few people here. So let's go on inside. Do our shopping today. Up on top is where all the old stuff is. All the old things up on the shelves, not for sale. Wooden ceilings, ceiling fans, the old lights. All the stuff that's not for sale is the really interesting stuff in here. And of course the old display cases are originals too, filled with knickknacks and souvenirs now. Knives here, all the old shelves. Look at that with canned goods. And the Last Run restaurant. You know, for a tourist operation, this place has everything. You can grind coffee. We have the percolator in the camper. Hard to find beans with the grinder, but here we are at Cass, and with the Cass souvenir label. So we're going to grind some coffee. In the department of things you don't see very much of anymore, a rotating fan, an oscillating fan. Wow. Here in the Last Run restaurant. Well, we had our fish sandwich, French fries, and coleslaw, nice creamy coleslaw. Now we're going to walk over to the museum. But here's an interesting. Unfortunately, the glare from the lights is hard to avoid. There we go. This is a print. It's sort of a composite of all of the paper mills of the West Virginia Pulp and Paper Company. That's the company that founded Cass. Covington, Virginia, Luke, Maryland, that was on the western Maryland, south of Cumberland. Spruce, West Virginia, there's Cass. All these different mills are they obviously weren't together like this in one place. They were scattered. There they are. And Luke, the lady at the visitor center told me, just closed down. The West Virginia Pulp and Paper Company had sold it, and the company that bought it shut it down. That makes the environmental community happy, though. Although a lot of people in that region are out of work. That was almost the economy of the Upper Potomac Valley. Well, let's walk on to Cass Showcase and Cass Museum. Cass, West Virginia was founded in 1901 by the West Virginia Pulp and Paper Company. There's the essential signal flag carried by the brakeman. Assortment of railroad lanterns from different eras. Here's a hand car, more railroad lanterns on it. That's a car inspector's lantern there with the reflector. So I could see under the undercarriages to check for things out of place. Here's a nice velocipede. Here's a four-wheel version of the velocipede. Track inspection cycles. Horse collars, mule collars. Things for dragging logs out of the woods. The company built a large sawmill complex north of the town and ran a standard gauge logging railroad into the steep forested mountains, today part of the Monongahela National Forest, west of town. We're in the theater here, scale model of Cass. My goodness. And down here's here's the mill reconstructed. Oh my. The railroad hauled cut logs to the mill where they were processed for use in the company's paper mills or by the hardwood flooring industry. Walk over here to the vintage equipment display. Camp 1, where it all began. The camp housed the Italian rail workers that constructed the initial part of the rail line. Oh boy. And this is actually a late 1970s reconstruction, because the station that was standing here when the Maurer Lumber Company, the successor company that bought the wooded land, abandoned everything in the 60s. It burned down. So this is according to the orientation film, a close representation to the original from the 1890s. It's a classic Chesapeake and Ohio rural combination station design. Operator's Bay, there's the Western Union sign. There's the theater we were just in, former hay barn. This is a standard classic American Railway Association 1930s standard design, built in 1936. So this is the ARA, I believe, 1932. And next to it is a Pittsburgh and West Virginia. At least it's painted and lettered for the Pittsburgh and West Virginia. It looks to be an identical car, although its build date is November of 1948, 11 years later. And it's got the post-war motto or billboard style of lettering of Boston and Albany, which I've never heard of, and down there's a Chesapeake and Ohio gondola. And I feel rain on my head again, so I think we'll head for the porch roof. Workers in the mill and on the railroad lived in 52 white frame houses arrayed in neatly terraced rows overlooked by the superintendent's house on the hillside south of the company store, post office, and depot. The mill closed in 1960, and 3 years later the state of West Virginia took over the railroad as a tourist operation, hauling passengers into the surrounding national forest. And in the late 1970s, the state acquired most of the town to create the Cass Scenic Railroad State Park. 19 former company houses are available for rent, ranging from $155 to $220 a night, depending on capacity, which varies from 2 to 6 bedrooms, with beds ranging from double to twin and bunk beds. You can check all of that out and make reservations on the State Park's website at the link on the screen, and I'll put it in the description too. West Virginia Pulp and Paper's logging railroad used unusual geared steam locomotives called Shays after their inventor, Ephraim Shay. Shay number 11, this will be our train. Instead of the rigid frames and connecting rods of traditional steam locomotives, Shays have paired wheel sets called trucks, powered by gears and drive shafts driven by vertical pistons. We're on car I. the thing about the Shay. There's the fun side and there's the boring side, and this is the boring side. This is the business side here. You see the bevel gears on the ends of the axles there, turned by the drive shaft. And the drive shaft is powered by the reciprocating steam engines here. 3 of them in this case, typical 3 cylinders, 3 engines. The engineer whirling around. Enjoy the ride along with us. Switchback. Well, there's a derail there. Prevent a runaway. Because each power truck can pivot, Shays were ideally suited for heavy hauling on the steep, winding tracks necessary to reach into the old-growth forests in the age of steam power. There's the lower track we just came off of. Shays are slow, but powerful enough to handle heavy trains on grades much steeper than on mainline railroads. The steepest grade on the Cass, for example, is just shy of 9%. That's 9 feet elevation for every 100 feet traveled. Mainline railroads rarely exceed 2%, and the steepest on record is a little over 3. There are 2 train ride options. A short 2-hour round trip takes you about 4 miles up to Whitaker Station, where you have a short layover to explore displays of logging equipment. A longer 4.5-hour round trip takes you 22 miles up to Balk Knob Summit. And we opted for the Balk Knob trip. Train rides can be booked at the link below, and it will be in the description as well. picnic area up here. Nice picnic area. His and hers bathrooms. Let's get our picnic lunch here. So included in the ticket was a hobo's lunch. Pasta salad and a thing of applesauce and a roll your own sandwich of looks like cheese. Yeah, well, it looks like some meat-like substance and cheese-like substance. And brand name Lay's potato chips, classics. And they give you a bottle of water to bring along too. But it's 4.5 hours, so I recommend bringing extra water. There he goes. Trusty number 11, our locomotive for today's trip to Balk Knob on the Cass Scenic Railroad. That's it for this time. I hope you enjoyed this video and will take time to view some of our other ones.